This is something that I was spectacular at in a previous incarnation of my business. I remember running an online course, started the course. It was supposed to be an 8-week course. Along the way, I realized, my God, these people need to know so much more. It turned into like 12 weeks plus like 2 bonus weeks. And these poor people, they got so much. They got more than they paid for, but they must have been tremendously overwhelmed. And that related to the fact that, I didn't believe that what I'd set out to teach them was enough. So they just needed more and more and more.
Welcome back to the show. Today we're looking at bold business beliefs you might have or not have and how they're vital to your easy success. And I'm here with Holly Worton. She's the author of some best-selling books on business beliefs and business blocks and business intuition and being visible in your business. And as well as a best-selling author, she is a podcaster and a business mindset coach for women entrepreneurs who want to get unstuck in their business. And maybe they're frustrating because they feel they have great potential, but they're just not achieving it. And she does lots of amazing work with people. We'll hear about that in a moment. So coming up in the episode, we'll look at what business beliefs are and why they're vital to your easy business success. And we'll also look at how they may be hurting you and keeping you stuck in your entrepreneurial journey and what you can do about it. And we'll also look at business beliefs that are blocking you. Maybe you're self-sabotaging or holding yourself back with limiting beliefs and how you can shift those. And you may be amazed that just a little bit of time shifting this stuff could leapfrog your business to the next level without having to go through all that H word, the hustle. So welcome, Holly.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, I'm so glad you're here. So let's just clarify for people listening, what do you mean when you talk about business beliefs? And give us some examples when you explain it, please.
Right. So business beliefs are things that we believe about our business and about our ability to be successful business owners. They could be things like, and of course, business beliefs, everything's related. So your business beliefs are going to be related to your personal beliefs, things like I am enough. That doesn't necessarily speak of your business, but that can affect all areas of your life, including business and personal things.
So let's just drill down onto that, because a lot of people have that in my experience. They
Yeah.
don't feel they're enough. How would that translate into them messing up their business?
Yeah, so that is a big one, and that is one that comes up with just about everyone that I've worked with. It was a big thing for me. I am enough. If you don't believe that you're enough, then you might be undercharging for your business. You might be terrified to put yourself out there, afraid of visibility. You might not be marketing your business. You might be sabotaging sales conversations. You might be over-delivering. This is something that I was spectacular at in a previous incarnation of my business. I remember running an online course, started the course. It was supposed to be an 8-week course. Along the way, I realized, my God, these people need to know so much more. It turned into like 12 weeks plus like 2 bonus weeks. And these poor people, they got so much. They got more than they paid for, but they must have been tremendously overwhelmed. And that related to the fact that, I didn't believe that what I'd set out to teach them was enough. So they just needed more and more and more. So
that's because you had this interior belief back then that you weren't enough.
Exactly.
That nothing you could do would make you enough. And you just had to do too much and not charge enough. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. I think a lot of people listening probably can if they think a bit deeply about it.
Yeah. If anyone has ever felt like they're undercharging or they're not happy with what they're making in their business, but yet they're afraid to increase their prices, you might want to look at that belief and how you feel about that belief. Are you enough? Just as you are today. And this is another thing. A lot of people think, well, okay, so, things are good, but I need to take another course. Once I take that next training course, then I will be enough. Or once I read 300 books on whatever my area of specialty is, then I'll be enough. It's I'm enough today just as I am with everything that I've got, period.
That sounds like a great belief to have. Now, maybe we'll talk a bit more about that big one again later in the episode. But what are some of the other big business beliefs that get in people's way that you come across?
Things about self-confidence, self-esteem, all this stuff is related, but people just not being confident to state their prices, people not being confident to speak, people not being confident to be interviewed on a podcast like this, people not being confident to write a blog post because I don't know enough, or are people going to want to hear me? Are people going to be interested in what I have to say? Lots of things around confidence and self-esteem. And again, that relates to I'm enough.
That makes a lot of sense. And I know a lot of people are reluctant to share themselves. And even it can come in multiple layers. They might be okay writing a blog post, but the idea of getting on live video freaks them out. I know it did me. I did a 90-day video challenge last year. And right at the beginning, I was really frightened to do it. So that's why I did it.
Yeah. And how did that change for you? How long did it take you through that 90 days before you realized that it was starting to feel easy?
1 or 2.
Yeah.
And here's what I did in the first video. I talked about all my fears so I could get over them.
Yeah, exactly.
That was one of the tricks I did. And also I had another friend who'd done a 30-day video challenge about vulnerability where she talked about stuff she felt vulnerable about. And that inspired me. Like, if there was something I was afraid to speak about on video, I would choose to speak about that to get over it. Yeah. So instead of hiding. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's being willing to be vulnerable. So that could be another business belief. I am ready, willing, and able to be vulnerable in my business and open about my fears. Because, as long as you're not freaking out about it, you can share these things and say, I'm doing this video challenge. I'm nervous. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but here I am. I'm showing up. And people can relate to that. So once you have that belief that it's okay and that it's safe for you to do those things, that can really support you in your business as well in terms of making connections with people.
That is a great point. Now, I think the other thing I've seen in entrepreneurs is that they have difficulty hiring people to help them, or if they do hire people, they're not good at delegating.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Oh, yes. Yes. And that can stem from practical things, such as the person's never had to manage people before. But it can also be mindset stuff, as I'm the only person who can do this. No one can do it as well as I can. I can't trust people. I can't trust people to get the work done. I can't trust people to get the work done well. Bless you. There's so many beliefs that can go into fears around outsourcing. And a lot of it has to do with trust.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also, I think there's a fear that if they're not the only person in the world who can do this in their business, then who are they? Yeah. It's a kind of identity belief in there that they only matter if they're like the most important person in the business.
Yes. And that belief that you have to do absolutely everything, which is ridiculous because it makes sense to focus on the thing that you're good at and get help with the things that you're not so good at, whether that's bookkeeping, getting your taxes done, admin, customer service, whatever. Figure out what those things are and then get support for them so that you can do the thing that you are here to do.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, that sort of relates to people wanting to be busy all the time. Is that another belief?
Yeah, that can be... Yeah, wanting to be busy all the time and kind of being a workaholic, that can be kind of a symptom of other stuff going on in life, like maybe not happy with other personal life, and so the business becomes the entire life. Or it could be someone that has limiting beliefs that I have to be busy all the time in order to make my business a success, or I have to hustle to be a success in business. I have to be a hard worker to be a success in business. A lot of people have beliefs around hard work as opposed to ease. And a lot of people have beliefs that the money that they make in their business isn't as important or valuable if they haven't worked hard for it. So there are a lot of limiting beliefs that can be going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I know you have a whole thing where you help people have ease in their business, and there is no need to to work hard. I mean, it doesn't mean you don't do any work.
Of
right?
course. Yeah, you're working, but you're not necessarily suffering the hard work of, 18-hour days, which I have done in the past. And that led to burnout, and that was not a good thing.
No, definitely not. It can be fatal, actually.
Yeah.
I've seen people get sick or die, or their marriage breaks up, or their family relations, don't do well. And it also, generally, if someone's doing that, they're probably not getting on great with their clients and their stuff because they're so tired.
Yeah. Yeah. Managing my energy levels is really, really important to me, because in my first business, I did not do a good job of that. I was working too hard. So I think that's why ease is so important to me. And that language comes up a lot, not only on my website, but in client sessions, because I think there is an easier way to do it. That doesn't mean you're not going to work, as you said, but you don't have to be stressed about it all the time.
We've talked about a lot of different beliefs, and I'm sure there are hundreds more. In fact, you wrote a book called 600 plus business beliefs.
Yes.
So I know there are hundreds more.
Yes.
I just want to ask, people are probably thinking, oh yeah, I have that one, but where do these beliefs come from? Because they don't seem particularly useful.
Some of them are, some of them aren't. So they can come from any stage in our lives. They can come from childhood. I have helped people clear a lot of things from school. Teachers telling them they were stupid or that they weren't good at learning. And so now they have this belief that they can't learn the things they need to learn to run their business because they're not good learners, because they heard that when they were 6 years old, because some teacher, didn't take the time to teach them in a way that they understood. So many things from school, from parents, from siblings, from other family members, from partners. We pick it up from all around us, things that we've read, things that we've seen other people do, and we kind of take these things on. Some of these beliefs are positive, some of these beliefs are limiting. So it all depends on what we've taken on, more of the limiting stuff, and often that's the case until we start doing this work, or otherwise.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I just want to add to that list of where these beliefs come from. I think movies are a potent source of beliefs.
Yes.
And they can go in all media. It can go in very subconsciously. You saw a movie when you were 13 years old, and yet the beliefs that were portrayed in that may still be reverberating around.
Yeah.
And even things like songs. I mean, there's a song from, I think, the 80s called "You Must Work Hard for the Money." Yes. And it was I think it was a number one or a very popular song. But like, if you have that going around your head and then it goes into your subconscious, you're going to start acting that way, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and its songs especially they stick with you, because you get rhythm, like it gets in your head, and it can be playing as kind of a soundtrack to your life and business. Yeah. And you might not even be aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, I in the last few years, I've got a lot more conscious about what music I'll listen to, particularly if I'm working, because I'd say 95% of song lyrics, probably more, have some negative beliefs running in them. I'm not good enough on my own. I'm going to suffer and, have to work hard, or there's not enough money, or, you name it, they'll go into
life's hard.
Yeah,
and a lot of people create art out of hardships as a way of kind of working through them, which is fantastic. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to feed our brains with that.
Yes, and I'd add on to that and say, not only do artists, authors, musicians create art from hardship and use it as inspiration, often they're doing it as self-therapy.
Yeah.
I've seen this recently with a few books I've read where the author had some horrible traumatic experiences, or they knew people who'd had them. And they say in the book themselves, I wrote this book in order to clear my mind, or to get over whatever the stuff was. And not only did they write a wonderful story, but they also threw that negative energy into the book. Yeah. And then when I read it, I'm like, oh. So, and I think the same is probably true about movies and music.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people aren't aware of that when they're consuming this media. And of course, advertisements as well.
Oh, yes. I forgot about advertisements. How many ads a year do people watch as adults? 100,000, 1 million? It's a lot. Because they're
Yeah,
everywhere, right? They're
they are.
billboards, magazines, radio, TV, everything has
Yeah.
internet, so ads everywhere.
Yeah.
And how do ads sell to us?
They make everything so appealing. I know Denise Duffield Thomas has this thing that she always says, talking about luxury, and because she's the money mindset person. So she talks about dishwashing detergent and how they market it to women as being like this luxurious thing that keeps your hands soft as you're washing the dishes. And she's like, what is this? Like, dishwashing detergent is not luxury. Like, it's, you're washing the dishes. How do women hear this for decades? This is so luxurious. It keeps your hands so soft as you wash the dishes. It's just ridiculous. But we take these things on. I feel so luxurious now that I have this special washing up liquid.
Well, and I think the important thing for the business beliefs thing is that most advertising works on making you feel like crap.
Yeah.
And their product will solve you feeling bad.
Yeah, you're going to feel amazing if you just buy this detergent.
Right. So, and often the side effect is that you're left with the feeling like crap. And even if you buy the product, you only feel good for like 30 minutes. You know,
yeah, if that.
if that, right. So lots of sources for these.
Yes.
So if someone listening wanted to find out what their business beliefs are, I'm kind of guessing that's a little tricky. It's sort of like a fish trying to understand, is it in water or not, right?
Well, I think there's a lot you can do on your own, but I think to really dig deep, it does help to work with someone else because you're in your head all day. So you often can't see things that are obvious because it's just become a normal part of your life, but you absolutely can get started identifying these things. And that's how I started on this journey, was just paying attention to, as I was running my business and taking action or not taking action and procrastinating, what was coming up for me? What was I afraid of? Why did I not feel good about taking a certain action? What was going on there? What were my beliefs about my ability to take those actions? That kind of thing. And I started writing them down. And that was really what got me started on this, because I realized how much stuff I had coming up throughout the day as I was running my business that was just not supporting me.
So it's the first step is noticing what areas of your business you're having difficulty with, or where you're delaying or procrastinating or afraid.
Yeah.
And then either with someone else like you or yourself, figuring out, well, what's behind that? Where, you know.
Exactly. And I think we have the tendency to sweep this stuff under the rug and say, you know, I'm just going to ignore it, I'm going to hustle on, I'm going to feel the fear and do it anyway. And that works for some people, but it doesn't work for everyone. So if it doesn't work for you, you know, pull back the rug, bring that stuff out to the surface and really look at it. And then do the work to make the changes and get the beliefs that you need to get to take the actions you need to take to run your business.
Well, I would suggest those things you said there, like, you know, I can't remember them exactly, but they were all motivating kind of things. They're kind of positive beliefs that you can do it, you're powerful, you can overcome any problem.
Yeah.
And how the kind of image that came to me with that is it's sort of like your business is a car, and those positive beliefs are you putting your foot on the gasoline pedal. Yeah. And those negative beliefs are like the foot on the brake pedal. But the problem is in most businesses, people have their feet on both pedals.
Yes.
And then they're wondering why their business is not working good and it needs to go to the shop for repairs too much. You know?
Exactly. You're like, go stop. And you've got whiplash.
Yeah. So even for the people who find those beliefs empowering, they could be going twice or 10 times as fast in their business with much less stress. If they could just get rid of the brakes.
Exactly. And it is possible to hold both the positive and the limiting belief, which is also very confusing for your system. So you can, on one hand, believe I am enough, and you can, on the other hand, believe I am never going to be good enough, or I am not enough, or whatever the, you know, your particular flavor of that negative one is. But we can hold both. And so it's about kind of releasing the limiting belief and really focusing on that enhancing belief or positive belief, because it can be very confusing, as you say, kind of stop, go, stop, go.
And that's where
comes from.
Right. That would be that's taking, you know, one step forward, two steps back. Yeah. You know, you delegate to someone and then you micromanage them, or you start a new marketing initiative, but then you don't follow through, or Yes.
Yeah. Or you let the hosting run out on your website and people go to it and it doesn't exist. Or,
Oh,
do all kinds of things.
yes. Or you get leads for sales, but then you don't call the people.
Yes, 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 yes. Or I had a client once, she had $80,000 in invoices that she hadn't collected on, work that she had done, clients that she had served, and they were just sitting there. She was
So
not
she
calling.
didn't have a system or a person to delegate to who would follow up and collect that payment, and she didn't have a way to ask for the money up front in the first place.
Yeah, she had some beliefs. There was a specific thing that only she could do to
Mm.
like drive it forward, and she knew how to do it, and it was very simple, but she wasn't doing it because the beliefs weren't in place to make that easy. So,
Mm.
yeah.
So if you've worked with someone or journaled or done introspection or meditated or whatever you did to figure out, and you've got a list of some of your beliefs, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
how do you figure out which of them you want to keep and which you'd like to adjust or throw out?
Well, it's all about what would serve you and what would not serve you. So you also need to know what you're doing in your business. Like, what's your vision for your business? Where do you want to be going with your business? And what beliefs of that list are going to help you get there, and which beliefs are going to keep you stuck. So that's kind of how you filter them out into different piles.
Okay, but I can see some people might get confused because earlier we said that like thinking you have to work hard for the money actually is a disabling belief, but people might actually think, oh yeah, that's useful, I'll keep that.
Okay, so that's where it helps to have someone else going back and forth with you saying, do you really want to work hard? Like, is working hard what you want, or do you just want to get the end result of what you think you're going to get from working hard? So you kind of got to pick it apart a little bit, and that's where it does help having someone else, because people think, okay, I'll work hard and then I'll get, I don't know, 7-figure business, whatever. Is it that you want to work hard, or do you want to have the 7-figure business? So then you figure out what it is.
And do you even want the 7-figure business, or do you want the results
Yes.
of having a 7-figure business, whatever you
Exactly.
believe those to be?
Exactly.
I recently was reading a new book. I'm forgetting the exact title, but it was called something like Exit. It's by a friend of mine called Dan Andrews. And he talked about how he and his partner sold their business, and then it really wasn't the bliss that they thought it would be, and they had some regrets. And then he came up with some questions he wished he'd asked himself before he sold it. Not that he still might have sold it. They still might have sold it, but at least they'd have been more conscious of what they were getting into.
Yeah.
And some of the alternatives that might have been better.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So,
yeah, you really
and it was all, and that was all based on the belief that turned out to be false for him, that the ultimate successful entrepreneur has had an exit from their business.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because
Right?
when you think about people saying, oh, I'm a serial entrepreneur, you think of the person that's
Right.
created wildly successful business. They sold it and they did it again and again and again. And woo, now they're, super successful. But that's not necessarily what everyone wants. Some people love building a business and then running the business. Some people, everyone is different. So you've absolutely got to get clear on what it is that you want and why. And what lifestyle do you want as well? Because, you might have a wildly successful business financially, but you're working 18-hour days and you're super stressed. So what's the lifestyle you want that's going to fit into the business that you want? And is that possible?
Oh, everything's possible because we're all powerful beings.
Yeah.
It might
As long
require
as-
a little more consciousness and asking the
Exactly.
right questions.
Exactly.
I mean, I have a friend. She created a fourth business, and she'd had some businesses where she was working long days, or she always had to be there. And she decided, this business, I want it to be successful, to grow, whether or not I'm there in the office or not. And she went from like $0 to $1 million in annual revenue equivalent in 9 months. And she spent 3 months of maternity leave during that 9 months.
Wow.
So very inspiring lady. Her name's Laura Rhoda. So,
Oh yeah. Yep.
yeah. So it's definitely possible. And that inspired me that, yeah, you can consciously choose what kind of business you want to create and the beliefs you have about it.
Exactly. And I think it really helps to be clear on those details in the beginning. Otherwise, you might end up with something that you don't really want. So getting clear on that vision is really, really important.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. So, okay, you've now figured out you figured out what business beliefs you have, or at least some of them, because it might
Yeah.
be, it's probably an ongoing process to dig into all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's archaeology of your whole life, really.
Yes.
So you uncover one belief, and then a week or two later, you might find something else underneath at a lower level.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And sometimes you can't get to that lower level until you've peeled off the layers of the surface level stuff. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So if you wanted to know what would be good beliefs to have to create a successful and easy business, how could you do that?
Well, I have 600 beliefs in my book. I think that's a good start to get an idea for what this is like. Because sometimes people are so stuck. When I do beliefs work with them, I'll be like, okay, so what do you need to believe in order to make that happen? And they'll be like, oh, I don't know. And then I'll start kind of throwing stuff at them and be like, oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. And so we kind of have to, grab one and then dig deeper. But I think it helps to have examples. So whether it's, going online, looking at affirmations, or finding belief statements in a book, it can help to see other people's examples and then kind of craft those examples to your specific needs.
That is a great thing. And if you can find an entrepreneur who inspires you from the
Yes.
easy way they have success, see if they have a biography, or if you can take them
Yes.
out to coffee if they're local. That's a good way to find that, I think. Now, let's talk a bit about the subset of beliefs that are actually blocking people, those limiting beliefs or the self-sabotage. Can you tell
Yes.
us any more about those? Because I think if people listening could understand this and shift at least one
Yeah.
belief, they would so improve their business and reduce their stress.
Yeah. Yeah. So limiting beliefs, as we've said, are the things we pick up from all around us our entire life. They could be fears. They could be just things that are keeping us stuck. As you said, got your foot on the gas, foot on the brake. Could be things like change is hard for me. So maybe you want to work on personal development. Maybe you want to work on your mindset. But if you believe that change is hard or change is slow or I'm not good at making changes, that's
Or I
one
don't
that I
have
really,
I don't have time to make
yes,
changes.
yes. I don't know how to make changes. Change is hard for me. That kind of thing it's
Now
very,
that's almost a meta belief about changing beliefs. I
yeah,
can't change my beliefs, right? That would be
exactly.
another. So
Exactly.
those are really powerful beliefs in a negative way because they lock in place dozens of other beliefs that you have.
Yes. Yeah.
I could improve my business profitability, but change is hard for me, so I'm not going to go there.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm just stuck. I
Right.
can never get unstuck. It's impossible for me to shift.
And I just had a realization that one way I can tell if a belief is helpful to me is notice how I feel either in my
Yeah.
body or my energy. Am I
Yeah.
contracted or expanded when I
Yeah.
have that belief?
Yeah. However, as I said before we got on the recording, lots of times I'll be working with someone and they'll have identified a certain belief and I feel like it's just not quite big enough. It could be bigger. And so I'll suggest something that's bigger to them and it stretches them so much they kind of go, oh God, I feel sick to my stomach. Can I possibly have that? And then, we talk about whether or not it's too big for them right now. Do we need to have a kind of a milestone belief before that, or are they ready to go for the big one? But also sometimes we can be afraid of the bigger beliefs. Sometimes we can be afraid of success, and fear of success is another block that people can have.
Oh,
How's my life going to change when I'm successful? Do I want those changes? What if I lose all my friends? What if my family hates me? Or what if my family is constantly asking to borrow money from me? Or, it's the unknown.
absolutely. I mean, I think that's a very common thing. I know when I wrote my first book, I had some beliefs around, the fans would be hassling me and sucking my energy and I'd
Yes.
never have any
Yes.
time to myself.
Yeah.
And I did some work to release that and
Yeah.
to shift the reality so it wouldn't do that. But and the same thing with becoming more successful. If you're a millionaire or I don't know what the words are for tens of millions or hundreds of millions. We don't really have words for that. Or billionaire, yeah, what happens if that changes your relationships? And,
Yeah.
you know, can you ever trust anyone to be honest with you or real, or will they be sycophantic and, you know, not tell you the truth?
Yeah. Are my
So,
kids going to be spoiled brats if you have kids, you know, because they're going to
mm,
expect everything that I buy them everything, you know,
yeah,
it,
yeah, it's
it,
a
everything's
complicated
related.
thing.
Yeah.
Or will things just get, you know, if you have the belief that you know you have to work hard for the money, or a related belief, perhaps you think if you were, you know, had $1 million business, you'd now be working 10 times as hard, and
Exactly.
you don't want that. And of course, that's not how people make $1 million or
No.
$10 million businesses. They have systems and delegate.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But if you've never had that experience, you think more money equals harder work. And I'm already working as hard as I can. I can't work any harder, so therefore I can never be a multimillionaire.
Yeah, and this isn't necessarily conscious. They're not
Yeah.
like saying, "Oh, I can't take extra money in." You know, if
Yeah.
someone gave them extra money, they'd probably receive it. Yeah, but then they'd self-sabotage by like creating extra expenses or
Yeah.
losing the client or
Yeah.
doing something else to avoid having the extra money, because they have this subconscious belief that it's dangerous to have
Yeah.
that extra money.
Well, it's like we always hear stories about lottery winners who have won
Mm.
multi-millions and they lose it all within a year because of many various factors, a lot of them probably relating to beliefs and mindset.
I think it's all relating to beliefs and mindset.
That's what I
In
would say.
fact, I think some of the smarter lotteries actually um, pay to have some kind of wealth coaching thing to help
Hmm.
people, you know, do something sensible.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look good for the lottery if someone
No.
won the lottery and then they're homeless next year, you know.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, absolutely, that brings up all kinds of issues, because I think, I mean, if we're looking at the money, my feeling on money is money itself is just energy, but
Yeah.
it magnifies any beliefs we already have.
Yes.
Um,
And it triggers a lot of stuff for people.
yes, it can trigger a lot of stuff for most people, I'd say. Yeah.
And I think,
Just as relationships do, you
yeah.
know, or having employees or
Yeah.
customers, or
Yeah.
any of the myriad of other activities we get up to on this planet.
Yes.
So, is there anything else you want to tell us about business blocks, or basically we go through the same process as you do for beliefs? And
Exactly. Just bring them up to the surface, pull back that rug, bring all the stuff up, write it down, look at it, and do the work to shift it, whether that's doing the work with yourself or hiring someone else to help you. You can absolutely do it on your own. That's how I got started in this. And it's very, very powerful. And the thing is, you start to see changes. I mean, in some cases immediately, in some cases it, you know, takes a few days or a few weeks, but you can look back and say, oh, right, I changed all those beliefs and suddenly things are easier. I'm taking action more easily and, you know, things are changing in my life. So it's the kind of thing where you do see the results quite quickly.
that is fabulous. Well, I think these are both really powerful things, and I'll put the links to your books
Thank you.
into the show notes. One of them's called 600 Plus Beliefs That Make Up a Successful Business Mindset. And the other one we talked about was Business Blocks: How to Identify and Release Your Blocks to Create a Successful Business Mindset. So, and you've written a couple of other books as well,
Yeah.
which people can find on your website, which we'll link in there. But what I'd like to talk about now is, have you always been this intuitive in your business, or?
No, I was so not intuitive.
Oh,
This is a new thing for me. This is absolutely a
okay.
new thing for me. I would say for the vast majority of my life, I was totally out of touch with myself. I was not even aware of personal development, you know, that kind of thing. It kind of started in my first business because part of the business was we had a holistic spa, and so we had therapists, and I kind of started opening up to energy healing and things like that and learning more about that, but I was still very out of alignment with myself. And it really wasn't until the last, I don't know, 5 years, I would say, that I started working on my intuition, because I thought that it was like you either have it or you don't have it. I didn't realize it was a skill that you could develop. And so I always just thought, well, I'm not intuitive and that's that. And I didn't
Well,
realize
there's
that.
there's a disempowering belief, right,
Yeah,
about your business and
exactly.
yourself.
Exactly.
So let's just look at that a bit more, because I'm
Yes.
imagining some people listening have that, oh, I'm not intuitive, or I'm only 10% intuitive, and there's
Yeah,
nothing I can do about it.
yeah, exactly.
You're born with the level you got.
Yep.
So
Can't develop it. You're just stuck. You're just
yeah.
poor you. You've got terrible intuition.
Yeah, it's just like you have bad breath,
Exactly.
like,
Nothing you can do about it.
no, there are no cures for bad breath.
No,
You just have to not
deal with
breathe.
it. Yeah. Around other people.
Around, there you go, around other people.
Yeah. Right.
So how did you develop your intuition?
Part of it was by just getting to know myself and accepting myself and doing the beliefs work and doing the mindset work, and also working with, there was one particular coach that I've worked with over the last couple of years, Lisa Wechtenheiser, and her business name used to be Practically Intuitive. And she just really taught me to trust myself and tap into that intuition and kind of turn up the volume on the intuition so that I could hear the messages more clearly and take action on them. And it's gotten to the point where I feel in this aspect, I feel like a completely different person, because intuition is such an important part of my life. I do not make decisions based on my head. I make them based on my gut. And I always say now my gut is smarter than my head, because it leads me in the right direction. And when I ignore it, that's when disaster happens.
What was the last disaster that came from your head, Holly?
This was probably, it was before I got started on the mindset stuff. It was hiring a business mentor that wasn't right for me, but a friend had gotten amazing results with her, and I went to this kind of big sales event where they like get you all riled up, and I was like, my gut's going, she's not right for you. You don't like her energy. And I'm talking to my friend, and my friend's like, well, I don't know, but she made a huge difference in my life. And my head's going, go for it. You need this. And my gut's going, no, it's not right. So after much back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, I put down the money, and God. Yeah. So yes, that was an expensive lesson in listening to the gut.
What would you have told your younger self now if you'd been in the room next to you?
In that moment that I was signing up for that thing?
Right.
I would say, first of all, there's no magic bullet. It's not like you do this course and it's going to fix everything, or you don't do it and disaster. Second of all, just listen to your gut. Like, how do you feel about this? Does it feel like, are you making this decision based out of fear because you think this is the only thing that's going to help you? How do you feel about this? Forget about everyone else. Forget about how this woman has helped other people, because they're other people. They're not you. And
there's nothing wrong with this particular woman.
Of course not. No, she's fantastic, but she wasn't a good fit for me at that time.
Right.
And probably,
I mean, it's like you buying clothes and you go to the store and there's a dress that's beautiful for someone else, but it doesn't look good on you. And your head can try and convince you that, just because it looks good on your friend, it's going to look good on you. But the reality is it won't.
Yeah, exactly. And you want it to fit because it's just such a pretty dress, but it's just not right.
Right.
Exactly.
And if I was there in the room, I think I would have told you, can you just go for 5 minutes outside, away from everyone else, go into a park and just listen to your body?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the worst thing was I didn't buy it in that moment. I went away and agonized for like 2 or 3 more days. And this is how out of touch I was with my intuition. And I still had that like back and forth, and still did not listen to my gut. So this evolved over several days that I, made the bad decision. So
that's impressive. We should make a movie about this experience.
Yes. How to make bad business decisions.
Yes. There you go. You could agonize for a few days, or, if you're Elon Musk, you could just tweet that your business is going bankrupt as an April Fool joke and lose billions of dollars on your company valuation in a few days.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Not really. He probably was a little out of touch with his gut there, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or perhaps not. Maybe that was what his intuition told him to do,
Yeah, maybe.
Could be. So, is there anything you'd suggest people do to improve their intuition?
Spend more time being quiet, being still, getting in
Hmm.
touch with yourself, listening. Because I think our lives are so external. We're always doing stuff. We're always, hustling, running, doing. But it's really, really helpful, even if it's 5 minutes, just sit with yourself and just tap into your body. What's going on? How do you feel? Do a body scan, kind of pay attention. How's my face? Like, is it all like, tense and stressed? How are my shoulders? Are they like, what's going on in my body? How are my, my abdomen? Is that all like tight and constricted? Like what's going on physically? And that can be one of the easiest ways to kind of tap into, what's really going on with you, because we can all feel what our body's doing if you just stop and kind of scan it.
Actually, not everyone can
Oh,
feel. A
true.
lot of people have a belief that they have no body sensation. I've met people who have great difficulty finding their emotions because they had some abuse or trauma when they were younger and they just closed that off.
Yeah.
And I've met other people who just don't feel anything from the neck down. They're just
Wow.
totally out of touch.
Wow. Okay. I
And
would
if that
try.
applies to anyone
Yeah.
listening, I'd encourage to get some work to release the trauma, and body work or yoga or dance
Yeah.
or swimming or anything that involves moving your body around can
Yeah.
help me anyway.
Yeah.
It helps.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very clever, powerful creatures, and we can create any reality we want to.
Yeah, we can. And at the same time, our bodies are very smart and create amazing coping mechanisms that serve us for a time, but not necessarily always. So,
So you mentioned you get gut feelings.
yeah.
I'm assuming you mean literally you have sensations in your gut. Is that what you mean, or did you mean something else?
That's exactly what I mean. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, as you had said earlier, does this feel constricting or does this feel expansive? And that's
Mm,
where I get it, like in the gut feeling. It's like, oh, that's, that feels right. Or that's like,
mm, mm. Now, do you get your intuitive messages other ways as well, or?
yeah, I do. A lot of it's, I'm very kinesthetic, so a lot of it's feeling, like, how does it feel? I do get kind of, not a very auditory person, but I do get auditory messages sometimes. Um, yeah, it can be visual. I can kind of see signs or see my attention could be drawn to something.
Mm. I mean, I just like to emphasize to people listening, there's no best way to get your intuition.
No.
Some people hear stuff, they see
Yeah.
stuff. Some people get dreams. Some people
Yeah.
have signs like,
Yeah.
maybe a weird animal appears that they haven't seen recently, or maybe synchronicities happen that all
Yeah.
these coincidences suggest stuff. So many
Yes.
different ways.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
really, really, really important to point out, because everyone's going to have their own kind of preferred kind of language for their intuition, and there's no right or wrong. Just kind of pay attention to what's going on for you.
yeah. And I'd like to suggest to people that they keep a journal of these,
Yes.
whatever these messages are, because the way to improve your intuitive language abilities is to practice.
Hmm.
And if you like write down what these little nudges are, and some of them are very subtle, or they
Yeah.
are for me.
Yeah.
And it's only by looking back in a journal or like, I made a hiring decision and I had some feelings in my gut, and then it doesn't work out. And then I go back and look at the decision a month later and see, oh yeah, I was really getting a message there.
Yeah. Another thing that can help for people is pulling oracle cards,
Mm,
because it gives you that really clear visual, and then you can say, okay, well, what does this mean to me? And kind of tap into the artwork, or whatever you see there. So that can be another way for people who are kind of new to paying attention to these things.
yeah. And I think for people who haven't used oracle cards or tarot or whatever, they may have beliefs that that's
Yeah.
evil or dangerous. There's a pretty common set of beliefs around that. Um, or they may have a belief, well, how could this work?
Right.
And I think what you just said there is really important, that it's not necessarily what the card is, it's what you get by looking at the card, what you notice. Because most of
Mm.
these oracle cards have some really complicated images. They sometimes come with a book of like
Yeah.
quite interesting text that goes with the card.
Yeah.
And it may prompt you to become aware of something you weren't aware of before.
Yeah. Exactly.
So Yeah, I mean, when I've worked with people who do card reading or rune reading or astrology, there's something in the technique itself, but also there's like they get their own intuitive information
Exactly.
through that method. So, do you have a favorite oracle card you currently use? Or?
No, I'm just looking at my bookshelf. I've got several decks up there.
Well, pull one out. What one wants to fall down and show
okay.
us,
So the
I'll keep
Druid,
people what is it?
the Druid Plant Oracle.
Okay.
That's drawing my mind. So I'll just grab that. We'll pull a card right now.
Yeah, let's grab it out and show it to the viewers who are watching on YouTube.
Are we asking a question or are we just pulling a random card?
No. Well, I'd like you to show the box to people so they can see this wonderful set of cards.
So this is it's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, fabulous.
It's a box,
right.
and then you pull it out. You've got the book.
Let's ask a question.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask the question I ask everyone on this show, which is, I'm on a mission that every entrepreneur openly uses her intuition in a business because she'll make more money, be less stressed, more joyful, be an inspiration for all her staff and vendors and customers. And I also believe if every business leader on the planet openly used their intuition as well as their rational mind, they'd make less stupid decisions that hurt other people or hurt the planet, Yeah. So my question for the cards and you, should you decide to accept this mission, Holly, this tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Yes, is what would it take to make business intuition more openly used this year? For
me or for the world?
The world.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Let's go big. Why hold ourselves back, right? Exactly. We don't have limiting beliefs here.
Exactly. All right. So I'm pulling a card.
Yes.
And it's that. Ooh, so it's chamomile.
Ooh, all right.
I love the artwork on these cards. Artwork's really important for me on cards.
And just to describe for people who don't have video, we've got some beautiful chamomile flowers, white petals, gold in the middle. And then there's like a tree. Yeah. There's a lake behind. Looks very peaceful.
Yes.
In fact, chamomile's a tea that you drink in order to feel calm. So I think the message is chill out or
exactly chill out and as we were saying earlier, just kind of tune into yourself, be still, be quiet, see what's going on for you.
Yeah, which kind of resonates with if people could just get 5 minutes where they were quiet. And I know that's so hard because not only do we have beliefs about hustle, but we have all these smartphones that are beeping at us and social media and I think related to that is a lot of people are sleep deprived.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So they're kind of in this caffeinated, sleep deprived, not able to relax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it takes, again, putting yourself as a priority and your own self-wellness and well-being and self-care. And, because if you're not functioning properly, then how are you going to run a business? How are you going to help clients? How are you going to create products that are going to change people's lives?
Absolutely. How are you going to connect with all those people you need to connect with?
Yeah.
And how are you going to enjoy your success?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to ask the other question I've asked all my guests, which is, why are you proud to use your business intuition?
Because my gut is smarter than my head. Because it just makes everything easier. I never second guess myself anymore. I never have those moments where I'm going, should I sign up for this thing? Should I not? Should I do it? Should I not? Should I do it? Should I not? I don't ask other people for their, what should I do? What do you think I should do? I don't make lists of pros and cons. I remember being a teenager and making lists in my journal of pros and cons for a decision. I don't do that anymore because my intuition just tells me, this is it. Do this. Don't do that. It just makes everything easier. And just more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Well, if people want to find you online, Holly, what are the best ways to do that?
My website is the hub for everything. So it's my name, hollyworton.com. And that's got links to all my social media. It's got links to all my stuff. So it's probably the best place to start.
That's great. And it has links to all your books and to your
Yes.
podcasts.
Yes.
So all the good stuff is there.
Yes.
Fabulous. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed speaking with you.